election isn't a reality TV show.
Hillary Clinton is unfit to be our president.
And then there was but one more chance for the rough and tumble candidates to place themselves on the same stage and expose their knowledge, or lack thereof, about what it takes to run America to the actual American people. Never before in the history of this great nation has a meeting of the minds, which could be a stretch depending on which candidate you're pulling for, that will be presented more in the manner of a high-budget reality show than a preview of what the next 4 and perhaps 8 years will bring to the people and the government of America. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will most likely, and I'm certain there are plenty of people willing to lay friendly wagers on this one, never, ever, ever appear on the same stage from here until the end of recorded time, once they depart that platform at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas. And in this final rim-rocking, verbal glove-knocking performance, those 90 minutes will pass with the dead rock-solid certainty of hearing more about tawdry affairs, foreign government incursion into emails, the future of Billy Bush, stilted cackling and passing of the buck, than we will about any real policies, leaving America right where it was at the beginning of the day, some knowing whom they will vote for come November the 8th, not the 28th, others still hedging their bets that the ghost of Ronald Reagan or FDR makes a last-minute appearance, and those polishing up resumes for new cable networks or Clinton Foundation job openings. Let the games begin. Let's begin by tapping into the madness and mirth that is social media and what the fans, followers, and so-called experts are saying about this evening's soiree. Miranda Kahn has all we need to know. Miranda?
How do I follow up with that? Things said. The final debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton is now underway. Just a reminder, tonight's debate is in Las Vegas. It will be moderated by Fox News anchor Chris Wallace. There will be 6 segments. They'll be 15 minutes long and no commercials. Hillary Clinton will answer the first question due to a coin toss. I believe she's won all of them so far, the coin tosses. Social media is buzzing with excitement over tonight's debate. Earlier today, MSNBC anchor Chris Hayes tweeted about what he wants to see at the debate tonight. Hayes tweets this. This sounds crazy and naive, but I'd be really happy if the entire debate was on policy, immigration, economy, taxes, climate, etc. You and me both. Conservative talk show host Dana Lash tweets no idea why Steve Bannon, Trump's campaign chairman, thought it was clever to invite Malik Obama to the debate. Why not parents of those murdered by illegal aliens? Malik Obama is the president's Kenyan-born half-brother, but he is an American citizen. He says he's voting for Donald Trump this election. And Paul Krugman, an author and op-ed columnist at the New York Times, tweets this. So can I skip tonight's debate? You'll love this, Ed, and just wait for the SNL parody? Unfortunately, no, because I'm supposed to write something for the Times. And we'll continue to follow all the social media action tonight. I'm Miranda Kahn. For right now, let's send it back over to Ed.
All right, Miranda, thanks a lot. Miranda, we'll be back after the break for more with our other guest, Tom Moslum. That will be entertaining indeed. But for right now, welcome to our Newsmax special coverage of the third presidential debate. I am your ring announcer, Ed Berliner, understanding full well what Michael Buffer has to go through before every prize fight. Let's begin by welcoming the Democratic strategist from Catamount Strategies, LLC, in the nation's capital, the always astute Christian Hanley, joined by big data and counterterrorism expert and American Muslim conservative, astute as well, Oz Sultan. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Let's get right to it. Oz, seeing as everybody is talking about what Donald Trump has got to do tonight, I'm going to begin with you. What does Donald Trump have to do, but better yet, what do you think he'll do?
Well, I think it's simple. Donald Trump needs to focus on the policy issues that America cares about. Too much has kind of gotten caught up in a he said, she said, and now beyond a bunch of personal innuendo that's been shared over the course of the past couple of weeks, we find that pay for play is really on the table from the WikiLeaks release on Monday. So the question I think Americans have to ask themselves inside of this, as Trump is making his case, is one, do the policies make sense? 2, is he a candidate you can trust? And 3, at the end of the day, is corruption on the scale of what we've seen with the Clinton machine something that you're actually going to tolerate?
So from the left then, Christian, is it possible to think that the Clinton campaign would salivate at the opportunity for Donald Trump to talk policies? Because let's be very frank here, not taking any sides, but when it comes to actual policies and knowledge of the government inside, between the two of them, nobody knows it better than Hillary Clinton.
Well, absolutely. I'm not sure that the campaign would be salivating, as you put it, but it would show in stark contrast the different levels of knowledge between the two candidates when it comes to policy and the internal functioning of government. And you are absolutely correct, Ed, that Hillary Clinton, love her or hate her, or anything in between, she certainly knows the lay of the land in great detail with great precision. That being said, whether Trump sticks to policy or personal attacks is irrelevant at this point, largely because either way, he's going to come out on bottom. My big concern for tonight isn't so much the questions, it's more how far down the gutter are we going to go? My concern is at this point, Trump might feel cornered. He might very much feel at a visceral level that this is his last and one and only shot right now. And because of that, based on his prior behavior, he might see no reason not to go as low as he possibly can go. And at this point, who knows what that is?
Oz, one of the things that we have always been talking about are the polls. We've heard this from the very first day, and Donald Trump always raged about the polls and how wonderful they were to him. But now, of course, he says he doesn't believe the polls. Well, let's look at one that maybe he should believe in. There's a new poll from Investors Business Daily and Technometrica Market Intelligence. They ballyhoo themselves as the most accurate poll in recent presidential elections. Their latest one, just out today, shows Donald Trump leading Hillary Clinton by a percentage point, well within the margin of error. So maybe Donald Trump needs to back off the polls a little bit. I mean, Oz, is it not possible that the polls are pretty much phony to this point to begin with, and we really shouldn't put that much salt in him? But wait, he's still got a chance, Oz.
Well, I think you have to look. There's such a broad range of polls that are out there. I mean, the Wesleyan poll had him up, I believe it was, or sorry, had her up, I believe it was 11 points or larger. And then most of the polls across the country have both candidates within about 4 to 5 points of each other. And a lot of this kind of comes after, one, the revelations from WikiLeaks last week, two, the GOP offices being firebombed the other day. I mean, people are just a little bit, on edge with some of the liberal rhetoric out there, which is very censoring and not very, honestly, American, and saying you can actually have views and we can have these views debated. But then to the larger question about this, what of the polls? I think Trump has looked at these very solidly and said, you know what, the American populace is going to vote. The die is yet to be cast. And if you look at what Vox, what a lot of other folks are saying right now, there's a tremendous amount of conjecture. People are very dissatisfied at the government they've had. 50% of Americans are earning $50,000 or less, and they cannot afford spiraling Obamacare costs. You've got job problems, you've got foreign policy problems, and we just went to DEFCON 3. So, poll-wise, issue-wise, I think Trump is probably going to move towards those things tonight. And in a larger sense, I mean, maybe the polls, like you're saying, aren't necessarily the best indicator. Maybe American sentiment is the best indicator at the end of the day.
Christian, I'm going to put you on the spot right now as a strategist because Oz mentioned the word that everybody is talking about today, that dirty word with a W, WikiLeaks. There is no doubt that Donald Trump is going to pound away at Hillary Clinton on the WikiLeaks emails that are out there, regardless of the fact that a lot of them are things that she didn't say, people saying about her, people giving their opinions of her. There's a lot of things to talk about in here. But Christian, you're the strategist right now. Hillary Clinton sits across the table from you. She knows she's going to be attacked. What does she do when Donald Trump brings the fact of the WikiLeaks emails right to the people?
Well, I think, first of all, the thing that she should not do is what she's done historically, not so much in this election, but in years past, where she argues it much like a lawyer, right? She sort of breaks it down and explains in great detail why, even though certain things might be factually accurate and some things might not be, why that does not by itself demonstrate guilt. And while that works brilliantly in a court of law and it might be accurate, it doesn't work on a debate stage. It certainly wouldn't work in an ad campaign, right? It needs to be much more emotive. It needs to be much more personal between her and the voters. And so what she needs to do is avoid, one, sounding too lawyerly and also sounding too defensive, right? As you said, there are already plenty of facts on her side. Many of these emails are not her own. These are emails sent between other individuals that are not official and that quite often are full of snark and sort of negative comments about third parties not involved in the email chains, and embarrassing emails that could have been found in a lot of different people's inboxes, quite frankly. So she needs to kind of demonstrate that to the audience, show them that, look, you know, these are emails of people who are affiliated with me. They were hacked illegally. These are emails that show some embarrassing conversations. Apologies have already been made by those whose emails were hacked. And she really needs to not go too much into the legalese and the details and sort of make that personal connection with the audience that, you know, Marco Rubio himself has already brought up, that, you know, Republicans can be
Well, let me do that.
about
Let me interrupt you right there because I want to bring that to the fore here. Marco Rubio has warned Republicans about celebrating this. According to Rubio, as our intelligence agencies have said, these leaks are an effort by a foreign government to interfere with our electoral process, and I will not indulge it. Oz, isn't it fair to say that he's got a point here? Because at the end of the day, are we not looking at, again, a foreign government who is throwing things out that could or could not be true, that is trying to change an American election? And I got news for you. If this was happening against the Republicans, Oz, don't you agree with me that Republicans would be screaming about this? It makes no difference right or wrong. This is not something to celebrate.
If this happened against the Republicans, of course, they'd be screaming. But let's look at what our national security apparatus has said. They said they are inconclusive as to whether or not a foreign government is doing this. The hacks did happen. There's the Guccifer hacks that are out there, which we know was a rogue agent. There are the DNC hacks, which are questionable. Then there's these Clinton mail hacks.
But however, I do need to point out, though, that in the intelligence briefings that everybody has received, they have been told that there is the likelihood, a high likelihood, that these are the Russians.
Well, I think there's inconclusive information right now. It could be the Russians. It may not be the Russians. I think we do err on the side of caution, and I think that's the sensible thing to do. But at the same point in time, there has been no statement from the Clinton campaign that what is being presented is inaccurate. And
that is
true. You have to question yourself, okay? When you are taking vice presidential candidates and calling them food groups, when you're taking a bucket of white men and putting sad face next to them, when you are having conversations about Muslim Americans and you when the word the sand N-word is included in there.
No, it is. I'm out of time, unfortunately, but you are correct on all of this. There are still things that are in there that need to be questioned. 10-second answer, Oz, do you expect Donald Trump to land the knockout punch?
I think Donald Trump is going to close it tonight, and I think the American people are going to see that he's probably the logical choice.
Christian Hanley, do you expect Hillary Clinton to fend off the knockout punch?
I don't think there'll be a knockout punch in the first place. And Ed, I don't think that's anything to celebrate. This has been quite a disheartening election season for this.
I'm going to go with you on that, my friend. We've said that many times. Oz Sultan, Christian Hanley, thanks so much for joining us. From stunts to social media and everything in between, how this election has changed parties and how America elects everybody from here on out. That and your phone calls when we continue next on Newsmax.